The following podcast is brought to you by the Ebb Tide Treatment Center. Many people wrestle with addiction. You don't have to. Reach out to the Ebb Tide Treatment Center, where they wish to empower each individual encountered with the support, hope, and tools required for long-term sobriety, priding themselves on providing the best possible treatment experience for you and your loved ones based on unique needs. They're committed to breaking the stigma that plagues those suffering with addiction and their families by educating and bringing awareness to the community. The Ebb Tide Treatment Center provides individual and group therapy, multiple recovery pathways for support, evidence-based clinical support, integrated aftercare social reintegration, personalized treatment planning, program addressing whole life health, and Vivitrol program, all available. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, reach out to them at ebbtidetc.com or call 844-430-4357. Hello, everybody, and welcome to AIW's The Card is Going to Change. Before we begin the episode, of course, as always, want to give the shout out to our sponsors that help us bring this to you for free each week. Thanks to SmartMark Video. Check out all of our shows on SmartMark Video. Go to smartmarkvideo.com, download the MP4, stream them digitally, purchase DVDs, anything at all. Especially support us now if you have followed us on Twitter, then you know about our YouTube situation. So all of that money helps. Also, thanks to Angelo's Pizza feeding us as we do this podcast. And, of course, coming to our live events at Mount Carmel and providing pizza for all of you fans. And, of course, as always, thanks to Jack Prince, who handles all of our printing graphic design needs. They can do the same for you. Just go to jackprince.com.
That's jakprince.com.
That's right. And that voice you heard there is Alex Worldwide Kellar. My name is Steve Guy. And, of course, we are joined by one of the owners of AIW, John Thorne.
Hello.
Worldwide, sitting in with us today. Don't get too excited. You might hear his voice a couple times over the next few weeks as we kind of work out a fill-in of sorts.
Yeah, this is like when people would guest host the Tonight Show. We're giving you a tryout worldwide.
Yeah, like when Ed McMahon
I thought
be
it was
there.
more like a Jerry Lawler, Paul Heyman type deal.
Oh, really?
No.
You're comparing yourself to Paul Heyman, are you?
Well, I mean, I got some ideas.
Yeah, we're all aware.
Well, if you don't follow us on Twitter and you only listen to our show for whatever reason and you're wondering where we have been, you did probably hear John's podcast by himself weeks ago. At this point, maybe even a month ago.
I'm not sure how long it's been.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Time's been weird.
It's been odd for us during this time frame at AIW. A transition of sorts for sure. Definitely on here. We didn't even know if we were going to bring this back. John and I talked about it multiple times. We kind of just didn't feel right about it. But you fans continue to speak out about it. John asked the question on Twitter. Of course, Worldwide is here because Chandler Biggins is still in the hospital at this point. It was kind of ugly, for lack of better terms. About a week ago, as we sit here and record this right now, there was a chance we thought we were going to lose the big guy.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad the last couple of weeks. I think it's been 6 weeks since he's been in the hospital.
Yeah,
It was like a week after Dennis died, wasn't it?
Yeah, like that same week.
Yeah, because he was texting me like right before that happened, and I had been sick before that, and he was like, "I'm sorry I ever made fun of you for being sick. I feel like such shit right now, and do you want any of these Dennis shirts? I don't feel right selling them," which is crazy for Biggins to say because
He loves selling everything.
yeah, and as John has said before when he did this episode, he did the episode by himself. Part of our thing in questioning it is, Biggins is like a guy who gets nervous, almost embarrassed by these things. I mean, for crying out, the guy literally, to shoot here, went into the hospital on my birthday, and in a text thread between John Biggins and myself is texting us, telling us he's going to the hospital, what the possibilities may be, but mostly he's worried about making sure I had a happy birthday.
Yeah, I forgot all about that.
Yeah. So that's a testament to who he is for those who don't know him. That's, a little insight. Biggins obviously loves you fans, so I think that's a big part of why we wanted to do this, because he's the guy who always said never cancel a show, no matter what's going on. And I think we just came to the conclusion that if we cancel the podcast, that'd be another thing that he would have said. You can't do that. Everybody enjoys it.
Yeah, it was kind of like a really difficult decision. I've like gone back and forth on not only the podcast but just everything in general, because it's a very weird position to be in. You know what I mean? Because I don't even remember what I said on that one podcast. I was like really like it was like talking to like a diary almost, like because I recorded it like alone in my room, like in the dark sort of thing, like totally like pure emotion and weirdness. But yeah, he initially thought it was just going to be a couple days. So we had enough podcasts to get through then, and then now here we are. Like, I went to the hospital yesterday and his mom said it's 6 weeks that he has been in the hospital at this point.
Which is just crazy. As we bring the podcast back, the card is going to change. And we're going to ask you guys to bear with us here, because there's going to be a little bit of a transition for John and myself. We'll have some people sit in here once in a while.
Possible new co-host, Worldwide Kellar.
Worldwide.
But it's definitely going to be a different dynamic. It was fun to poke fun at each other, and we have stories, but as it's called, the card is going to change, and it certainly has here for the podcast. John, you've visited Biggins in the hospital. I know you've tried to give some updates on Twitter. I'm sure you'll keep doing that. So we don't, we want to be careful of his privacy. We're not going to give you guys huge details and everything. But if you want to update people on, kind of his condition, and you visited this past week, right?
Well, I've gone twice in the past week. Last Saturday, it was pretty much it was pretty much like, that's it sort of thing. His it was kind of crazy, because we come out of the AIW show, we're after party, then the after party at Mr. Worldwide's house.
Jesus.
Which we'll get that.
Yeah, we'll get to that at a later episode. But I wake up on his couch and I have a message from Biggins' mom. It was like his heart just stopped. So I was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like what? And then I'm trying to get information on that, and that was pretty much it. It was pretty vague for a while. And then I was supposed to take Shayna Baszler to another booking, because she eventually, did get to town and stuff, which we'll all get to that whole mess on probably another episode. But he, like his mom finally called me, and his mom has kept her composure like pretty much through this whole process. You know what I mean? There was ups and downs. Like when I first went and saw him, it was like, yeah, like I thought he was for sure gonna die, and then he bounced back when we went to, and then he was progressively getting better and better and better. And then he had been finally moved to a discharge facility, like a rehabilitation facility, to begin the healing process, because he had been discharged from the ICU and everything was looking on the up and up. I think he was there for like a day and a half or something.
Yeah, it wasn't too long.
And because I think he was moved there like on a Thursday, and the AIW show was on a Friday, and then Saturday I get the message that his heart had stopped. So I'm like, well, like what? You know what I mean? Like what the?
Yeah. What does that mean? Yeah.
So his mom called me, who had been pretty much keeping her composure this entire process, and she was crying for the first time since this has been going on, and she had said, "Hey, I just told his brother that he needs to come down here and say goodbye." So I took that as I need to come and say goodbye as well, and that's why she was calling me. So that was like.
As Worldwide cracks open a beer here.
It's getting a little heavy for you, huh?
Yeah. It's too much, man.
So anyway, I call Shane, or I text Shane. I say, hey, this is going to be weird, but we got to go make a stop. And, I pick I pick up Shayna, and at like as I'm driving to get her, that's like when it really like hit me, like, he's dead, so I like break down in the car, and I'm trying to like get myself together, and I pick her up, and we have to go. It was like an hour because he had been transported to this facility that was like an hour outside of Cleveland. So like we drive like an hour to this like hospital in the middle of nowhere, it seems like, because he had been moved to whatever the closest emergency room was out there, and we walk in, and it was like, I mean, I've never seen anything like that before in my life, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a scary situation. At this moment, his status is, I guess.
Well, I guess I'll say like
improving.
I guess I'll just like, just break the whole thing down. Like when we walk in, he's in they don't know how long his heart had stopped for. They revived him with CPR, and he's like in this room, and we walk in, and like his eyes are open, and like there's no movement, no anything, and his mom's explaining to me like he's not breathing on his own. He's on like a life support machine, and like he's not even blinking. Like his eyes are open, and like nobody's home. And I was just like, that's like the most hardcore thing I've ever seen in my life, to be perfectly honest with you. Like it was brutal. And like all Shane and I could really do was try to like tell jokes and stuff and try to keep his mom happy, because she is just like, like
she's been like a rock through this entire thing.
And like, mostly. I mean, it's basically everyone, like when we're there, everyone's just basically saying it's, this is it.
Yeah.
It's a done deal at this point. So like that was just like walking out of that hospital. That was like the strangest feeling I've probably had in my entire life. And then, I have to take Shayna to her booking, and like it's a 3-hour drive, and it's just like just the most awkward, weird day of my entire life. And then, we take her, we do the show, whatever, we come back, and like I'm just kind of just sitting waiting to get the phone call.
Yeah.
And his mom calls me about like 9:00 on Saturday, and I'm just like, okay, this is it. He's dead. And she goes, "You're not gonna believe this." Sunday. Yeah. She goes,
because we're supposed to go to brunch.
Yeah, we were supposed to go to brunch. We had a brunch meeting set. Worldwide wasn't allowed to go to.
Whatever.
Before you explain that, because I just kind of want.
That's never getting explained.
No, not that.
No, but not the brunch. But because I think everybody is always curious. That's just the nature of everybody. But you alerted us of what's going on. And worldwide, you guys were all working a show that day, and setting up a ring. I mean, you're with you're with everybody else.
We were in Sandusky
doing a ring rental.
Yeah, doing a ring rental for some head shops, like 1-year anniversary party. It was actually pretty good, but like at one point in time, I was getting dressed, and then I just saw in the group chat there was that update, and it was like carpeted floor. I just put my phone on the ground and like slid it over to Weird Body, and it was like. Just motioned for him to pick it up. He picked it up, and he was just like, well, fuck. And he fucking forgot we were taking the goddamn comeback, and he just rolled out of the ring, and I just had to take the entire hot tag. Fucking little son of a bitch. But no, it was fine.
It was. I mean, basically, it was a weird mood for, I think, all of us.
Yeah.
I think that day. I don't...
But then Sunday, getting the good news, it was great.
Yeah, so then we hit Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think there was any good news. Like, and I had gone and like when I was at that show that I took Shayna to, I took her to, she was booked for Remix Pro. Like Pedro was there, and there was other people there. Like Jock Sampson was there, and I was just kind of like, I was just like, you guys got to get okay with this, because it's happening. You know what I mean? Like you get like. I was kind of matter of fact with everybody about it, because it's one thing to hear an update, but to see like what, like the only people that know are obviously his family, myself, Shayna Baszler, and Aaron Bauer. I had called Aaron Bauer because Biggins was like actually in his wedding, and like they were very close friends, and I said, hey, you need to come and do this, because this is. It's happening,
Right.
So to go from that to where I've like pretty much just like ejected every bit of emotion out of my body, you know what I mean? Like it's exhausting. And it's been like an exhausting process because it's been, he's been up and down so much. It's not been like a steady like climb. It's been like good, bad, good, bad.
This was the lowest of the lows.
And this is, I mean, honestly, like it was looking like at something from like a movie or something. You know what I mean? Like, so it was just like it was awful to look at. Like to see, like I don't wish anybody sees that with their own eyes ever. And so I'm like, I can't even like sleep on Saturday night. Like I'm just kind of like just waiting to get that phone call and just deal, because I know that I'm gonna have like a lot that I have to do, and like I have a responsibility to tell a lot of people, and I'm just like trying to like figure that out. And honestly, it got to the point to where like his mom was trying to figure out the funeral arrangements on Saturday, which is, I mean, it's crazy to hear, but that's where the doctors were saying that's where we're at.
Right.
And then they transport him back to the Cleveland Clinic, just basically because they wanted to get the inevitable and test his brain out and say like, hey, like there's nothing going on there. And he had brain activity, he had perfectly normal brain waves, everything came back negative as far as bleeding in his brain and everything.
It's relative. I mean, if we're really being real.
Well, relative, yeah.
Yeah.
And he started breathing on his own, and he started opening up and moving his eyes around. And
that was
like
on Sunday.
Yes, at like Sunday morning, and everyone pretty much said it was like a miracle. I think, somebody told his mom, based on everything that he went through, probably like 1% of people will ever come out of that and open their eyes again. So it was like, it was seriously like a small miracle, which is crazy to talk about.
What's up, everybody? Alex Worldwide Kellar here, and I'm here to tell you about the thrift store jobber. He's going town to town, city to city, state to state, finding the choicest in vintage wrestling merchandise. That's right. And today, do you guys ever miss territorial wrestling? Well, fuck all that noise, because the WWF killed that shit, just like at Thrift Store Jobber on Instagram killed it with this early 80s WWFT $90 size large. Celebrate the death of an era. Worldwide!
So our man Chandler Biggins kicks out at 2 on Sunday. He has been slowly, I guess, improving, for lack of better terms. I mean, it's still a long way. They don't know what's going on.
Right, because, I mean, it's still too early to determine, because, I mean, he was without a heartbeat, and they just don't know for how long.
Right.
So it's still really early for them to determine what his mental capacity is, if it's going to be affected going forward, if it's going to be normal going forward. So they've been like asking, but they've been asking him questions, and he's been able to comprehend, and give proper answers. But I went yesterday, and I spent the majority of my Friday night. We're taping this on Saturday. I spent the majority of my Friday night just like kind of hanging out with him and talking to his mom, and figuring out what's going on. And he was light years better than when I saw him on Saturday, the Saturday before. But I mean, it still looks to be it's going to be quite a long time.
So as John said, we're recording this on Saturday. You're listening to this. It is at the earliest Monday. Things, as you can probably tell, may have changed at that point. Follow John on Twitter at John Thorne. That's THORNE AIW.
There you go.
Or at AI Wrestling. Follow that on Twitter as well for the latest updates on Biggins. To kind of give you guys an update on where we stand with AIW with this, because that has also been a transition. As most of you know, Chandler handled so many different things there. We're coming up with ways still. Any help that you guys can give is huge. If you saw about the YouTube, Our earnings on that are down, which is huge to a lot of independent wrestling promotions.
I mean, I guess we can get into that a little bit, to kind of sway this episode, in a different direction.
Yeah, we'll just give everybody an overall update. I guess it's been, about a...
Right. I mean, honestly, that's what we're not trying to come on here and just make it, all doom and gloom, but I do think that people have a right to know what has been going on with Biggins and what's going on in general. And to go to the YouTube thing, I guess I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. It's kind of weird. Drew Cordero from Beyond Wrestling, he had hit me up and he goes, "Hey man, what are your numbers at right now?" Because we always kind of talk about that stuff and. I looked and I was like, whoa, they're at like $5. Like, what's going on? And then we were never alerted or anything. And the thing that was great about YouTube is, let me just say this now, because there's all these people, like Eric Bischoff and all these people are saying, hey, come on to this new platform that I've designed, we're going to make you money. And that's the thing is like, the thing that was good about YouTube is people didn't realize that they were making you money, and it has like 500 billion like users daily or something like that. Like people,
and it's hooked straight up to Google, and
I mean it's just branded at this point. Like it doesn't cost anybody anything, so like you can't go from people not paying to watch your stuff to go like, hey, come subscribe to get these free matches. Like that's such a short-sighted idea that Eric Bischoff has, and to be trying to like market it like it's the alternative to YouTube is just ridiculous.
Yeah, the YouTube doesn't cost anything to the consumer.
Right.
It's just there.
And that's what was great about it is because people didn't even realize that they were making you money. And independent wrestling companies, like us, for example, we were making at least $500 a month. On good months, we were making $1,500 to $2,000. And now that has gone down to, I checked earlier today, we were at $30, and we're coming to the end of the month here. So we've gone from guaranteed $500 for the last couple of years to $30.
Well, is it like? Well, for example, like McMahon's been banging his head against the wall for years on the fact that fucking they don't get they don't get the car like companies advertising with them, like advertisers think wrestling's like low rent and shit. So we just get fucking like Zit Cream and like fucking Pennzoil and all that other shit on Raw because like we can't get like the big high dollar like advertisers. Is that just happening now like on the internet or? Well,
like from doing research is like it's basically like they would just put ads on everything, like everything, you know what I mean? And there's this big controversy, and Wall Street Journal ran this like expose on, they're saying like, hey, Walmart, your ads are showing up on like videos with racism in them and like hate speech. So all these big advertisers then went and pulled out. It cost something like, I read it's going to cost YouTube something like $1 billion in ads, like Pepsi and Walmart and.
Oh yeah, Pepsi's ads are fucking great.
But they pulled out of spending their money on YouTube. Yeah. So I think YouTube is trying to change up their algorithm or whatever and make sure anything that is questionable is just not going to get those ads or get those high paying ads.
So that, along with, as John had said on the other episode, Biggins was doing the eBay stuff, and some of that was coming into us. So really, income-wise,
we've lost
we're
so many
in multiple places.
We've lost so many revenue streams. I've even kind of suspended the selling the DVDs from our website and things like that, and we're just directing everyone to Smart Mark Video because it's just something that there just isn't time.
I bought Season of the Witch just the other day, or not Season of the Witch. House of the Rising Sun.
There you go. So for all of our fans, we know we have so many loyal fans and great wrestling fans out there. A lot of you wonder, what can you do? If you can help us, go to our Patreon account and
Patreon,
buy stuff off of Smart Mark.
I mean, there's been honestly, there's too many people to name. People have just been PayPaling us money, which is ridiculous to me. But I mean, I'm thankful for it.
Yeah.
But go to Smart Mark Video and buy something. You know what I mean? Get something for it.
Absolutely.
I was at Remix Pro, and there was a longtime AIW fan. I'll keep him anonymous. He just walked up to me and gave me $100, and I said, "What's this for?" He goes, "I'm sure you'll figure out something to do with it."
Yeah. If you guys are on Patreon, put a little note in there. It says, "Hey, give me a shout out on the podcast," because now that we're back, look, we'll do that for you. Get something out of your dollars. We do appreciate all of it. the biggest thing that you can do as you listen to this right now, JLIT is coming up here at the end of the month. We are now in May as you're listening to this, May 26th and 27th. By all means, come out. The lineup's going to be great for that.
We got Mordecai coming.
Mordecai is coming.
Super crazy.
Filthy Tom Lawler.
Filthy Tom Lawler.
You're pumped about that. You take responsibility for that.
I do, because I'm an avid Observer F4W listener. But this is all just leading. I'm hoping brother Tom does all right, so that we can then motherfuck him, so that he has to call in backup in none other than Brian Alvarez.
You want us to book Brian Alvarez?
I want you to book Brian Alvarez.
More worldwide ideas there.
Hey, tell me that wouldn't fucking pop something. It'd make some money somewhere.
Where?
Oh, the internet.
Apparently not anymore.
He's not going to not fucking talk about it if he's booked.
So, I mean, that's the biggest thing you can do. Come out to our show.
Yeah, I would strongly suggest.
Oh yeah. Also, Brian Alvarez owes me $50, but that's a whole other story.
It's a 2-day event, May 26th, 27th. We'll have 2 after parties for you that weekend as well.
Yeah, Friday night we're going back to Nax. We're setting up an official hotel for everybody.
Which, pay attention to Twitter. That announcement's coming.
Yeah, that announcement's coming soon. Just come to the jail at weekend. It's you can get in GA $60 combo pack, gets you 3 shows.
I can also direct you to a secret hot tub.
Don't go anywhere where Worldwide's going that weekend.
Right.
I'll be right there with you guys. I'm just going to make a stop at a hot tub.
Night 2 after party will be at Mahal's, our usual spot, so you can visit us there as well. And the hotel that we are setting up for you is going to be reasonably priced, so you'll be happy with that.
That's going to be a little bit of an upgrade compared to previous years.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
a little bit.
We're moving.
How do I feel about this?
They just had new construction last year. We tried to get this hotel last year. A little inside information, but they were under construction and only had about 20 rooms total to rent. So look for that announcement at AI Wrestling on Twitter. Follow.
Worldwide's mind is blown.
Yeah, follow.
I'm just thinking, man.
And
it's about to be lit. J-lit.
There you go.
Well, where'd you come up with?
Wow, what an
Where'd you come up with that
tagline.
one?
We apologize if this was a little bit more of a downer episode again. But look, coming back, we felt like we had a lot to update you guys on. Hopefully, you felt like we did that. Next week, we're gonna
try to get back to a regular.
Yeah, we're gonna try to bring the fun. It won't be as regular. Obviously, we're missing Biggins. Our thoughts continuously are with him. Always on our mind. So,
is this the first one back?
Yeah.
So we haven't talked about you coming out of retirement. That's
coming.
Whoa.
That's coming. When we cover that show,
we'll cover that.
I came out and I quickly went back in.
Yeah. So thanks.
So I see you in the brawl for all, buddy.
Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for listening. And look, we'll talk to you guys next week. Don't do it. You don't. Oh, I was gonna see if somebody was gonna do it. For Alex Worldwide, Kellar, and John Thorne, my name's Steve Guy. Like I said, we'll talk to you next week, everybody.
Thanks.
I don't know about that.
I'm trying to steal gimmicks over here.
Stealing stolen gimmicks.